Aura is the silent signal we send out, our emotional and energetic presence. While we may often rely on words to express ourselves, our aura does the talking, long before we open our mouths. It's that feeling someone gives off when they enter a room, that sense you get about a person without knowing anything about them. It is not about appearance or voice, but rather an unspoken force that is felt, not seen. Our aura is shaped by our thoughts, our emotions, our values, and even our past experiences. It's a subtle, invisible field of energy that can either draw people toward us or create distance depending on what we carry within. Think about those moments when someone walked past you and you instinctively felt warmth, kindness, or peace. Or perhaps the opposite, tension, anger, or unease. Nothing was said, yet something was understood. That's the aura at work. It's a vibration, a frequency we emit constantly. And it often tells people more about us than we realize. You can't fake your aura. It's a mirror of what's really going on inside. If you are anxious, guarded, or resentful, that energy will seep into your presence, even if you smile and say the right words. If you are centered, compassionate, and at peace with yourself, your aura will naturally communicate that serenity to those around you, even in total silence. Our aura acts like a silent introduction. It precedes our words and lingers long after we leave. People may not always remember what you said or did, but they will remember how they felt in your presence. That memory is tied to your energetic imprint, the trace of your aura. So the next time you think silence makes you invisible or irrelevant, remember, your aura is already speaking for you. It is constantly shaping how others experience you. It tells your story before you do. You don't have to speak to be heard. Your energy communicates volumes. In a world that often glorifies speaking up, making noise, and being seen, it's easy to forget the immense power that lies in stillness. But silence is not emptiness. It is often where the deepest truths dwell. When you enter a space, before you've uttered a single word, your presence is already speaking. Your body language, your posture, your expression, and even your stillness tell a story. You are communicating through your very being, and others are always listening, whether they realize it or not. Some of the most powerful individuals are not the loudest in the room, but the ones whose quiet confidence fills the space. They don't need to dominate a conversation or prove their worth with words. Their energy, grounded, focused, self-assured, speaks louder than any speech ever could. This kind of communication doesn't rely on performance. It's about alignment. When your inner world is at peace and you are connected with your values, your energy reflects that clearly. Others feel it. They may not be able to explain what they sense, but they are drawn to it, or sometimes challenged by it. Because authenticity and inner clarity are rare and they resonate deeply. Even moments of shared silence between people can be powerful. In relationships, friendships, or even chance encounters, sometimes the most profound connections happen in silence. It's in that space where energy communicates more honestly than words ever can. There is no hiding in energy. You can mask emotions with a rehearsed tone or a practiced smile, but your energy tells the truth. If you are carrying grief, joy, anxiety, love, resentment, or peace, others will feel it, consciously or not. And that feeling speaks volumes. It tells people who you are, how you see the world, and whether you are safe to be around. So remember, even when you are silent, you are being heard. Your energy enters a room before you do. You are always in a state of communication, not just with your words, but with your presence. And the more you become aware of this, the more intentional you can be about what you are truly saying to the world without ever needing to speak. People often remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Words can be powerful, yes, but they are often fleeting, spoken in a moment and forgotten just as quickly. What truly lasts, what lingers in the memory and etches itself into the heart, is the emotional experience someone had in your presence. It is the comfort you offered when no one else noticed, the calm you carried when others were panicking, the empathy in your eyes even when you didn't say a word. These are the things that stay with people long after the conversation has ended. You may not remember the exact sentences someone once said to you in a difficult moment, but you will always remember how they made you feel. Whether they made you feel safe or judged, uplifted or diminished, seen or invisible. That emotional residue becomes the real story of your interaction. This is where the aura speaks loudest, not in a performance or a polished speech, but in the moments of human connection that touch something deeper than intellect. When people think of you, they might recall your profession, your personality, or your talents. But what they truly hold onto is the way your presence impacted them. Were you someone who radiated acceptance or judgment? Did your silence offer peace or discomfort? Did your energy feel welcoming or guarded? These questions are not answered by your words alone, but by the feeling people carry away from your presence. And that feeling becomes your legacy in their lives. We are emotional beings, first and foremost. No matter how logical or articulate we may be, we are deeply affected by how others make us feel. You can impress someone with your resume, your vocabulary, your achievements, but it's your aura, the energy behind your actions, that builds trust, inspires loyalty, and fosters love. And the truth is, people don't come back for words. They come back for the feeling they experienced when they were around you, whether it's peace, joy, inspiration, or acceptance. It is the emotional impact that defines how you are remembered and how you are valued. Your inner peace, confidence, or tension is felt by those around you. Even when you believe you're masking your emotions or keeping your inner world hidden, your energy has a way of slipping through the cracks. The truth is, people don't need to hear your thoughts to sense what's going on within you. Your aura becomes the medium through which your inner state is expressed, often louder and clearer than words. If you are centered and calm, people around you feel more relaxed. If you're anxious or carrying unresolved emotions, others may not know the reason, but they feel the weight of that energy. We've all experienced this without fully understanding it. Think of a time you were near someone who hadn't said much, but their presence either made you feel instantly at ease or strangely uncomfortable. That was their internal state, projected outward through their aura. Just as a musical instrument carries its vibrations into the air, your emotional and mental vibrations ripple outward, affecting the emotional atmosphere of any room you enter. This isn't about being dramatic or emotionally expressive. Even subtle, unspoken energies are powerful and contagious. You don't have to speak a word for someone to sense your serenity or your storm. When you cultivate peace within yourself, it doesn't just benefit you, it becomes a gift to others. It creates a kind of invisible safety net where people feel calmer just by being near you. That peace is rare in a noisy world, and people will often be drawn to it without knowing why. The same is true for confidence. When someone walks in with quiet, self-assured energy, it shifts the dynamics of the entire space. They don't need to announce their power. Their alignment with who they are becomes their statement. You feel it in how they stand, how they listen, and how they carry the silence between their words. It's not arrogance, it's authenticity. And people are naturally responsive to that kind of clarity. On the other hand, unresolved tension is just as palpable. If you are constantly overwhelmed, negative, or holding on to fear, others will sense it even if you never speak about it. It can affect how people approach you, how conversations unfold, and how others respond to your presence. Energy is reciprocal. What you put out doesn't just affect you, it shapes the space you're in and influences the people you interact with. That's why doing the inner work is so essential, not just for your own well-being, but because you are never operating in a vacuum. Your inner world is always participating in the outer world, whether you are aware of it or not. Presence can be more powerful than words. A calm presence can comfort. A strong presence can inspire. In a culture where verbal communication is often prized above all, it's easy to forget the tremendous impact of simply being. Presence is more than just being physically in a space. It is the fullness of your attention, the steadiness of your energy, and the authenticity of your spirit that people feel and respond to. Some of the most memorable, grounding and transformative moments in life come not from what someone said to us, but how they showed up. Their very being held something of calmness, a strength, a sense of trust that left an imprint on us far beyond the moment. A calm presence has the power to soothe anxiety without offering solutions. It says you are safe here without needing to say a word. When someone can remain steady while others are overwhelmed, that stillness becomes a beacon. It reassures, grounds, and stabilizes. It allows others to exhale, to drop their guard, and to reconnect with themselves. We often underestimate how healing it is to be near someone who is fully present and internally settled. Their stillness becomes a soft, invisible balm in chaotic or uncertain environments. They don't need to give advice or try to fix anything. Their presence alone becomes the comfort. Likewise, a strong presence is inherently inspiring. It doesn't need to be loud or performative. True strength in presence is quiet, unwavering, and rooted in self-awareness. It draws people in not through charisma, but through consistency and integrity. Someone with a powerful presence may speak little, but when they do, people listen, not just because of their words, but because of the weight their silence carries. Their presence is magnetic, not because they command attention, but because their energy radiates something solid, something grounded, something real. Presence also fosters trust. In a world full of distractions, a person who is fully present stands out. Their attentiveness makes others feel seen and valued. You know when someone is truly with you, not just physically, but emotionally and energetically. They are not looking past you or waiting to respond, they are right there. And that kind of presence is a gift. It deepens relationships, enhances communication, and builds lasting connections. People crave that depth, even if they don't know how to name it. They are drawn to the feeling of being in the company of someone who brings their whole self to a moment, silently but powerfully. We tend to chase after the right things to say, rehearsing our words, crafting our messages, trying to articulate our thoughts perfectly, but more often than not, what people truly need is not our explanation. They need our presence. They need to feel that we are there fully without pretense. And when we can offer that, when our presence alone becomes a source of peace, strength, or encouragement, we become the kind of person whose impact far exceeds anything we could say. In those moments, our aura does the speaking, and what it says can be more profound than any words ever could. Aura reflects your true character. It can't be faked. While words can be carefully chosen, appearances curated, and actions rehearsed, the energy you carry, your aura, flows from the deepest parts of who you are. It reveals what's beneath the surface, exposing the truth of your intentions, emotions, and inner alignment without your permission. Unlike the masks we wear to navigate the world, your aura does not lie. It is the result of your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional habits, and your personal integrity, or lack of it. People may not be able to describe exactly what they sense, but they instinctively respond to the authenticity or the dissonance in your energy. You can pretend to be confident, But if you're constantly second-guessing yourself, your aura will carry hesitation. You can smile and act kind, but if resentment or bitterness lingers beneath the surface, others will feel the disconnection. You might project enthusiasm, but if it isn't rooted in genuine passion, it becomes a performance rather than a presence. Aura transcends the superficial. It gathers everything you are and wraps it into a silent signal that people around you intuitively pick up on. That's why some people can walk into a room and immediately put others at ease without saying a word, because their aura reflects inner peace and truth. And it's why others, despite polished words and charming gestures, may still feel off or untrustworthy, because their aura lacks alignment. Character is not about what you do in public, but who you are when no one is watching. It's about your values, how you treat people when they have nothing to offer you, how you carry yourself when things don't go your way. Over time, these internal qualities shape your aura more than any outer success or appearance. Kindness, humility, gratitude, courage, these energies take root deep inside you, and as they grow, they begin to radiate outward. They aren't loud or flashy, but they are powerful. They create a vibration that people can feel, that draws others in, that builds trust even before a word is spoken. And just as light can't be forced into a room, it simply shines. Authentic energy can't be manufactured. You become radiant not by putting on a show, but by becoming more of who you truly are. When your words, your actions, and your inner world all align, your aura becomes magnetic. People may not understand why they are drawn to you or why they feel so comfortable around you, but it's because they sense that your energy is real, rooted in something solid, something true. This is why cultivating your character is so important, not just for moral reasons, but because your character is your energy signature. It's what stays behind after you leave a room. It's what people remember when they speak your name. Your aura is not about trying to be impressive, it's about being aligned, consistent, and sincere. No matter how well you pretend, your energy will always tell the real story. And that story, whether told in silence or speech, is what the world responds to. Intentional living creates a strong, positive aura. The energy we carry is not random. It is shaped moment by moment by the thoughts we entertain, the choices we make, and the values we uphold. Living with intention means choosing not to drift through life on autopilot, but instead approaching each day with awareness, purpose, and clarity about who you are and what you want to contribute to the world. This sense of deliberate living infuses your aura with strength, direction, and integrity. It doesn't mean life will be perfect or that you'll always feel peaceful, but it means that your energy becomes steady and grounded because it's tied to something deeper than emotion or circumstance. When you live with intention, you begin to align your inner world with your outer actions. You become aware of your habits, your mindset, and the energy you bring into your spaces, whether it's your home, your work environment, or your relationships. You pause before reacting. You choose mindfulness over impulsiveness, and you cultivate emotions that support peace, resilience, and clarity. Over time, this consistent awareness builds an aura that others feel deeply. People may not know your story or your background, but they will feel the centeredness in your presence. That centeredness is a result of the choices you've made to live consciously and with purpose. Intentional living also means letting go of what doesn't serve you, whether it's toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, or outdated narratives about who you're supposed to be. The more you shed what is not truly yours, the clearer your energy becomes. You are no longer weighed down by confusion or emotional clutter, and that clarity radiates outward. It feels like ease. It feels like confidence without ego, peace without passivity, and presence without pressure. It makes you someone who can walk into a room and immediately shift the energy, not by effort, but simply by being there. And what's powerful about living with intention is that it transforms even the smallest acts into something meaningful. The way you speak to a stranger, the care you take with your space, the time you devote to reflection or creativity, all of these become expressions of who you are. They are not just tasks, they are extensions of your purpose, and that purpose infuses your aura with light. You begin to carry a sense of inner direction that people can feel. Your energy becomes like a quiet current, steady, purposeful, and unmistakable. People are often drawn to those who seem deeply rooted in themselves, not because they have all the answers, but because they have clarity and peace with the path they are on. That clarity doesn't come from chance. It is born from choosing day after day to live with awareness, to respond rather than react, to listen to your inner voice instead of the noise of the world. That's intentional living. And when you live this way, your aura naturally becomes a reflection of your growth, your values, and your authenticity. It becomes strong, not by force, but by truth. Being quiet doesn't mean being invisible. Your energy still influences a room. In a society that often equates visibility with volume, there's a quiet power that tends to go unnoticed. We're taught to speak up, to take space, to make ourselves heard. And while there is value in using your voice, it's important to remember that presence is not limited to sound. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be impactful. You don't need to dominate conversations or seek the spotlight to leave an impression. The truth is, your energy, even in silence, holds weight. It speaks on your behalf. It announces your presence without noise, and that presence matters. Quiet people are often perceived as passive or shy, but silence is not a weakness. In many cases, it is a strength. There is a different kind of awareness that lives in stillness, in attentiveness, a calm observation, a thoughtful depth that many overlook. When you are quiet, you're often more attuned to the subtle dynamics of a room. You notice what others miss. You pick up on tone, on body language, on unspoken needs. And while you may not be the one steering the conversation, your energy participates. By grounding the space, by offering calm where there is chaos, or simply by being fully present and open. Many people underestimate the influence of someone who listens deeply, observes intentionally, and moves with quiet confidence. They assume influence only comes from outward expression, not realizing how deeply people feel what's unspoken. Some of the most powerful people are the ones who say little, but whose energy commands attention. You've probably experienced this. Someone who walks into a room without saying a word, and yet you feel them. Their presence shifts something. It's not theatrical or loud, it's still, but it's undeniable. There is also something sacred about those who don't speak unless it's meaningful. Their words carry more weight because they don't waste them. And their silence isn't absence, it's presence. It's a conscious decision to hold space, to observe, to reflect. And that kind of energy creates room for others to breathe, to think, to feel seen without judgment. It becomes an anchor in conversations full of noise and ego. You don't have to prove your worth through words. You don't need to constantly explain who you are or why you matter. When you are grounded in yourself, when your energy is aligned and your intentions are clear, your presence becomes a quiet force, one that doesn't demand attention but naturally receives it. People may not remember exactly what you said or even how much you spoke, but they will remember how they felt around you. That feeling of safety, of depth, of sincerity is a result of your energy, not your volume. So if you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated because of your quiet nature, remember this. Silence is not emptiness, it's not invisibility. Your energy is always communicating. And when that energy is rooted in authenticity, presence, and self-awareness, it can light up a room far louder than words ever could. Healing yourself strengthens your aura and changes what you attract. The process of healing, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is not just an internal journey. It shapes how you move through the world, how people experience you, and what kind of energy you call into your life. When you carry unhealed wounds, old patterns, or suppressed emotions, your aura becomes heavy, unstable, or fractured. Others may not understand it consciously, but they feel the discomfort or intensity. You might find yourself repeating the same painful relationships, feeling drained around certain people, or struggling to be seen and valued, not because of a lack of worth, but because of the energy you're unconsciously radiating. Healing changes that. It doesn't erase the past, but it transforms your relationship with it. When you begin to face your pain, forgive yourself and others, release resentment, and reconnect with your inner truth, your energy shifts. You begin to vibrate from a different place, not from fear, lack, or survival, but from peace, clarity, and intention. That shift is not something you need to advertise. It speaks for itself. People feel it in your presence. They sense the lightness, the openness, and the quiet power that emerges when someone has done the work to truly know and care for themselves. Healing also brings coherence to your energy. Instead of sending out mixed signals, wanting love but expecting betrayal, wanting success but fearing failure, you begin to align your energy with what you actually desire and believe you deserve. That alignment is magnetic. It doesn't chase, it doesn't beg, it doesn't force. It simply attracts. Because when your energy is clear, it resonates with similar frequencies. You start to notice healthier relationships coming into your life, more aligned opportunities appearing, and a deeper sense of fulfillment in everyday moments. Your aura becomes your filter. When it is strong and whole, it naturally repels what is harmful or misaligned, and it draws in what nourishes your growth. This isn't about perfection. It's about integrity. It's about living from a place of emotional honesty and wholeness. And the more you heal, the more your outer world begins to reflect that wholeness back to you. You'll find that situations that once triggered you no longer hold power. People who once drained you may quietly exit your life. You no longer need to prove yourself because your energy speaks of your worth without needing validation. The healing journey is deeply personal, often painful, and never linear, but every step toward wholeness strengthens your aura. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, presence over avoidance, truth over denial, you're clearing and empowering your energetic field. You're making room for love, connection, peace, and possibility. And even in silence, others will feel that something in you is different. Something in you is free. That is the power of healing, not only for your inner peace, but for the life you begin to create and the energy you leave behind wherever you go. Your aura tells a story of your self-worth. Long before you open your mouth or explain who you are, the energy you carry whispers your beliefs about yourself. It reveals whether you feel deserving of love, whether you trust your voice, whether you feel safe being seen, or whether you're still hiding behind a version of yourself shaped by fear, comparison, or shame. The way you walk into a room, hold your posture, make eye contact, take up space, or even stay silent. It all carries the invisible imprint of how much you believe you matter. And people feel it. They may not consciously understand it, but they will respond to it. If you carry a sense of unworthiness, your aura will shrink. You may try to make yourself small, avoid attention, or over-explain to justify your presence. You may tolerate disrespect, chase validation, or fear rejection. Not because you are weak, but because deep down a part of you still questions your value. That questioning echoes in your energy. It's subtle, but it creates tension in how others experience you. On the other hand, when you begin to know your worth, truly know it, not from ego but from deep self-recognition, your aura expands, not in arrogance but in quiet certainty. You move with calm assurance. You stop apologizing for your existence. You stop seeking permission to shine. Self-worth doesn't come from how others see you. It comes from how you see yourself when no one else is looking. It comes from the way you speak to yourself in the mirror, the boundaries you hold, the dreams you allow yourself to believe in. It's in how you treat yourself in your lowest moments. That inner relationship becomes the foundation of your aura. Because people can only meet you at the level you've met yourself. If you constantly betray your own needs, others will unconsciously do the same. If you dim your light to avoid being too much, others will assume you have nothing to show. But when you recognize your inherent worth without needing to prove it, your energy shifts. You begin to attract respect without asking for it. You begin to hold space without trying to dominate it. The story your aura tells is written in how you show up for yourself. It's written in the energy you allow into your life, in the standards you set, and in the love you believe you're worthy of receiving. And that story is always evolving. Every act of self-respect adds a new chapter. Every moment you choose healing over hiding, courage over comfort, and authenticity over approval. You expand the presence of your energy. You become someone who walks in alignment, someone who doesn't need to perform or persuade, because your aura already speaks volumes. It carries your self-worth like a quiet anthem, echoing through every interaction, leaving a lasting impression long after the conversation ends. So let this be your quiet reminder that even in your stillness, you are seen. Even in your silence, you are felt. You don't have to shout to be powerful or perform to be noticed. Your aura speaks on your behalf. It tells the story of your growth, your truth, your healing, and your worth. So nurture it, align it, live with intention. Because when your energy becomes a reflection of who you truly are, whole, grounded, and authentic, you don't just walk into a room, you shift it.